Good afternoon, everybody. For those that may be new, my name is Jason Edler. I'm Director of Sales for Kantech. We're really excited to introduce the next generation of access control, which is our new KT-4. This powerful panel, we're going to revolutionize the industry with this one by replacing our legacy KT-400. So today we're going to do a deep dive into the features and benefits of the KT-4, as well as explore some exciting possibilities with some new partnerships and what they bring. We'll also be sharing some exciting news about some future product releases. So, our partnership with LSP is taking that multi-door solution to the next level. And, their power supplies are compatible with all of our panels, not just the KT-4, which will make installations more efficient and cost-effective. And, that's not all. We've got some exciting integrations on the horizon with Salto coming up. So, keep an eye out for our upcoming Kantech Day, which will be on March 20th. We'll have some more details in the presentation. So really over the next 45 minutes or hour, Tom's going to walk us through a range of new features and capabilities that really will leave everybody on the call here impressed. Just remember to ask any questions during the webinar. Just drop them, make sure to drop them in the Q&A section, not in the chat, and we'll address them as we go along the way. Thanks again for everyone's participation today. And with that, I'll hand it over to Tom. So Tom, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm very excited.
Let's get started then.
All right. Like Jason said, March 20th, 2025, in case you were wondering, Kantech Day is back by popular demand. Save your calendars, save your event. We're very excited about that. It was a very big success. Thanks to all you guys in the field. Thanks for all our customers for attending and listening to our beautiful presentation. Please feel free to join again. Save the date, March 20th. All right? If you miss
we have new microphones. We have new microphones, so we just want to throw that out there.
We specifically spend the entire 6 months on microphones, and the rest is the next 3 months, right? So please join. If you miss it, you'll miss some nice surprises. There's somebody that's off mute somehow. Amy, Annika, can you take care of that? Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, let's start. So, the most advanced Kantech controller yet. We are introducing again, and we've talked about this. We showed it to you guys. We wanted to make sure everyone is aware of the KT-4 controller. The KT-4 controller is our newest Kantech controller based on the Kantech next generation technology. We obviously have our KT-1 that's been around since 2015 and been the workhorse for our platform. We have our KT-2, which is the upgrade to the KT-1, as we say. Same technology, same hardware, put a new plate in it, and you obviously go to the KT-2. Now, when we built the KT-4, we had some very strict guidelines. The user experience has to start off at the minimum of the KT-400. We're not going to rechange everything and complicate your life. Same thing when we built the KT-2 and all the retro kits, we told guys, we want the installer to make this a plug-and-play experience, right? Least possible annoyances or complications possible. So when we built the KT-4, we said the same thing, guys, it has to be a full user experience. And we keep on driving this to our R&D and our PM and sales team. User experience is key, right? So we're proud to announce that the KT-4 is available. So let's go through all the really fun stuff. 1 second. Slide problems. There you go. Let's go through all the fun stuff first. It is a 4-door controllers, 8 readers, 4 doors, when you're using iOS smart cards and credentials. This gives us the ability of having 4 doors in and out with the iOS smart reader. It does have 16 inputs, single end of line, double end of line, and 4 relays. And it has the a gigabyte encrypted communication. So if you look at a very high level, all the fun stuff, as they say, it does have all the things you need. It has the 4 relays, it has the 4 lock outputs, it has your reader power, your 12 volts, It has everything the KT-400 has, minus the 5 volts that nobody ever uses anymore. So 12-volt power and all the things you need in there. So that's at a baseline, it does everything. So you're not losing input. It has its RS-232, it has its RS-45, right? So before I put you guys to sleep, let's go look at the fun stuff, right? Guys excited? You should all be cheering yes. So we can power the KT-4 with a standard 16-volt or 24-volt voltage AC. The standard transformer, our award-winning transformer that we use for our KT-400, that you guys all love and use, obviously, is compatible with the KT-4 also. Now, it also does 24 volts on to power the controller. So the same transformer you've been using all these times. And if you ever need to change from a KT-400 to the next step to a KT-4, you don't have to change your battery or your transformer. You get to use the same one. You're like, wow, that's amazing. But guess what? We actually added on the KT-4, I think this is massive for us because of our award-winning transformer. We actually added a 24-volt DC power for our controller. You power the controller over 24-volt DC directly on the KT-4. The same terminals where you put your AC plug, which are the same terminals right here, those same terminals are used for your DC voltage. Now, if you didn't know that AC and if you didn't know that DC had polarities, guess what? It doesn't matter. It auto senses the plus and the minus, so you can plug your minus and your plus however you want. The controller will auto detect and you plug it in. So the days of you burning transformers and power supplies should be, mostly gone. I think that's a pretty advantage for us, and you'll see why this 24-volt DC power supply makes a big difference for our platform here, right? Also, with this power supply, whether you're running AC or DC, you can have battery backup directly on the controller board, supervised by the Kantech controller, so you get your low batteries and your critical battery events in your controller. Very exciting stuff. But let's talk about more power. Let's see what else we have. What else can we possibly do? So we also now can power the controller over a PoE plus module or PoE plus module to now have no power supply, no transformer, and have the entire board powered over PoE or PoE plus on the platform. Obviously, still using battery backup if you want. You can have the controllers, which would be really, really cool. If you're using a PoE plus, you can also have a battery backup attached to the controller. So if your PoE switch doesn't have a battery, UPS or battery backup, you can attach the battery on the controller and the PoE will power and charge the battery. Now remember, guys, it is a 4-door controller, and each lock output has a minimum of 500 milliamps. So you're looking at a 3 to 4 amp power on your controller. If you power it over PoE only, which is the standard PoE, the basic PoE, it will power the controller, but you can't power all your locks and all your readers. This is where PoE plus comes in. It's just a matter of power output that the PoE switch provides you. You can power up more stuff on the controller. I think that's standard, but in case you didn't know what PoE plus was, I can definitely help you guys. Any questions so far?
Yeah. We've got one that I don't know the answer to. So, can you charge the battery from PoE plus?
Of course, definitely. You could charge the battery from PoE plus. It will be slower if it's a fully loaded controller, but most of the time you should have power, so you shouldn't have to worry about taking 8 hours or 12 hours to charge it. It doesn't really matter on the battery for the controller. That's a great question. So not only can you use the battery, but also if you lose power, it will recharge it for you. All right. Yes, and great question, Ahmed. The power on the power supply is auto sensing and auto detecting. So you just plug in the power supply. There's no jumpers. There's nothing to do. You just plug in your AC transformer, 16 volts or 24 volts, or you plug in your 24-volt DC plus and minus in any of the two terminals, however you want, and the controller will all figure that out all by itself. You shouldn't have to tell the controller how it's powered. We take care of that. So this way there's no mistake. It's all about the user experience of making it simple and easy to work with, right? So the less you guys do extra, the better it is for everyone, because it is a plug and play setup on the controller. So one controller, many ways to power it. Now, we didn't just stop and put everything in there and just say, ta-dam, we're done, right? What we actually also did is we took a modular approach to our controller. By default, all KT-4s come in with a built-in. So guys, please don't unmute your lines. You're not supposed to be able to. So, thank you. It comes with a built-in gigabyte 128-bit AES encryption. So it's on a 100 base T, but an entire gigabyte communication. So it's a bit faster on the communication compared to the standard networks. Using 1000 base T. And it comes built in. You have your plug-in to your module. You use your transformer to power it if you want. Now, the modular approach to all this is we actually added. Oops, wrong slide. I didn't go as I wanted. Sorry, guys, little slide problems. We added a PoE module that you can clip onto the KT-4. So you have a built-in PoE clip module you can put on the controller, or you can buy the controller directly with a PoE module included. It's really up to you. One of the benefits of that is you just take that module, you clip it on with little arrow points, and like the picture shows, and now your controller has a PoE or PoE++ adapter. Now, the benefit of all this is that if you don't need that PoE anymore, you don't need to buy it for every controller. So imagine you have 30 controllers in a network closet. The first one can be IP, right, PoE powered, and the rest can be RS-485, like we've traditionally done with all our controllers. So then you could buy the KT-4 PoE with the module on it, and then you buy regular KT-4s without the PoE module. So we pass on the savings by giving you a module you can clip on to the KT-4. Makes it a lot easier to work with and a lot more custom price focused, and making it easier for the user experience of their customer's wallet, obviously. All right. And if you want to buy the module by itself, you can always buy it, and then it's just a matter of clipping it in, plug and play, and it starts giving you PoE automatically. Now, what if you want more? What else can we do? Well, we don't stop there. We also give you a Wi-Fi module, right? The Wi-Fi module is and we'll cover the Wi-Fi in a few minutes in details, but it's a module you clip onto the KT-4, giving you a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi communication to the router, and also an access point that can be used to configure the KT-4. It is 128-bit encrypted and communicates back to EntraPass. Very practical if you want to have a controller that's not in a network closet, or you have to pull cable. You just power it through the standard power supply or transformer, and off you go with the Wi-Fi module. Now, the good thing is that it's also a module. So if you don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need to purchase it, giving you, a cost-efficient controller compared to having all these modules hard-coded on and then you never use them, right? So we give you that option. I don't know about you guys, but it makes it very simple. Now, again, you could order this controller yourself with the Wi-Fi clipped on and the little antenna, standing there and ready for you to use, or you can actually take it, add it yourself. Right now, it does support 2.4 gigahertz, and it has all the 802 standards from A to an AC. They're all there. All the networks are there. All right. Now, the access point is very practical because I know I've seen you guys install controllers. You go in the closet, you mount the controller, then you're standing on a 20-foot ladder with a laptop pretty much dangling off the cabinet, trying to connect the call home address of a controller. and then hopefully you don't drop your laptop and then get a new one, right? So now we give you an access point where you just power up the board. The Wi-Fi in factory mode is in an access point mode, meaning you'll connect your laptop directly and you tell it where to connect to over Wi-Fi and where EntraPass is. So you don't have to physically connect directly to the KT-4 to do the Wi-Fi configuration. It's all done through the access point. So one less cable you could be doing down, sitting down, having coffee, and just typing your favorite hattrix call home address or your EntraPass address in there. Makes it a lot easier to work with. Jason, any thoughts?
Well, it looks like Ahmed's got a couple questions on the Wi-Fi itself. I don't know if you can see those. Or you want me to read them out loud?
Yeah. So I
Does
saw
it
that
support Wi-Fi 6, 6E, or 7?
It doesn't support now. It is a chip that doesn't support 6 or 6E. It does support the standard Wi-Fi. Most customers and most devices of this world don't support Wi-Fi 6. You don't need a massive bandwidth. We're talking kilobytes of data. So the standard Wi-Fi network works, and all routers, even the new routers that have Wi-Fi 6, will do support the standard Wi-Fi platform out there. You don't need all the extras. Don't forget, this is mostly for a low traffic bandwidth communication. We're not bumping video, and we're not going to go 900 feet from a router because your current laptops don't even support Wi-Fi 6.
Okay, and then
Yeah,
on the 802.11 is asking about AX. I guess it's a feature on it. I'm not sure.
I have to check if it's AX. I know we support the AB, GNN, and AC. I have to check it with AX. I don't know. It's a good question. But again, most routers do support backwards compatibility for at least AC and N. A and B is very old. You have to have a really old router to support those. But we support all the other platforms. And again, most routers will support backwards compatible devices. Because imagine printers and imagine other technologies that don't have the latest Wi-Fi chip. The good thing is if we need to do an AX, it's just a matter of changing the chip. We're not changing the entire board. This is one of the advantages of going with a modular approach, right? And a lot of these devices that are network driven like this are 2.4 gigahertz. They are set up in a global region, which means they work anywhere in the world on the entire standard platform out of it. All right. So why did we do all this? It makes it a modular approach. It makes you use your Wi-Fi, your PoE, or Ethernet, however you want, and it gives you a cost-saving structure because we could raise the prices if you want and give you all the bells and whistles, but that's not fair. You're never gonna use Wi-Fi with PoE. It's kind of silly. It's one or the other, right? So why give you both when you don't need them? Again, we try to make the overall user experience the best for everybody. Are you guys excited about this? A lot of questions, and I'm excited because everybody's paying attention. Thank you, Eduardo. So what do we get with the KT-4? We get multi-swipe, extended schedules. We get alarm integration, first man in, door exception, elevator control, everything you're used to from a Kantech controller for the KT1, KT2, KT400. There are nothing that the KT4 doesn't do as features, right? So your double swipe, your better schedules. So it is a faster, better future controller that we give you all the bells and whistles for all our controllers. Now, one of the cool things talking about features is that going forward, all our controllers are going to have the same firmware for everybody. So they're all going to be at the 320. Like, for example, the KT-4 firmware that comes out is 3.20, right? And the KT-1 and KT-2 will also be 320, and then 321, 322, and so on. The benefit of all this is doesn't matter which hardware you're running, the features are going to be the same. Obviously, the number of doors will vary a bit. Now, the next thing you're going to ask me, I'm sure you're going to ask me, is what version is it compatible? Jason, can you ask me what version it's compatible in?
870, 872.
Great question. What version is compatible with? Let's find out. Let's see. 870 says compatible with 870. Let's see what else. If we go press the next button, what happens? Oh, it's compatible with 860, 850,
Well,
84,
now there's a
750.
caveat to that, right? It's not going to say 4.
I don't know. Let's
It'll say
look at
400.
that. Oh, there's a little typo there. Ah, I missed it. It's compatible with every existing version of the KT-400. I don't have the last zero there. It's compatible. It's on the semi-diet there. So it's compatible with every version that supports the KT-400. So yeah, so basically 502 and higher, you can definitely use the KT-4 as a KT-400 if you want. Like, wait a minute, that's huge. Obviously, you're gonna get the bells and the features that are available for that version, right? So in 502, in 6X, you don't have Wi-Fi. That's kind of obvious. So you're gonna be able to use whatever's available in that particular version. So the good thing, guys, is you buy the controller now, you install it in your current version, and then you can upgrade to take advantage of everything going forward with the KT-4. So if you're slightly behind in your upgrades, you can use it. Now, if you're at 4.0, like Jason says, you should upgrade because Windows 98 expired many, many years ago, right? So again, we're trying not to leave customers behind. We're giving customers the experience and the path forward. We don't like to say, you know what, you're stuck, replace everything, upgrade everything. We understand that upgrading is a big task for some customers. So we give you this flexibility of using it backwards, right? Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, and actually, if you notice, the KT-4 looks very similar to the KT-400, and you'll see why in a few minutes. Oh, that's very exciting. Let's go talk about some compatibility and everything. The KT-4 does come with two RS-45 communications, like our controllers that we have. It is backwards compatible and compatible with the KT-400, the KT-1, the KT-2, and our KT-300. You can mix and match these controllers however you want on the same RS-45, like you've always done with our KT-4. I think it's pretty practical. You could just take a KT-400 out, put a KT-4, take out a 300, put a KT-4, and you can mix and match however you want your controllers using the RS-45. Obviously, going back to the basics with the RS-45, you need to make sure that your RS-45 is a daisy chain communication and not a star T-tap. That hasn't changed. We use the same communication between our controllers as we always have. Our second RS-45 is available for the IO Smart communication. So if you have IO Smart readers, yes, you can go vegan, but why go vegan? If you're buying a Ferrari, yes, with a Ferrari, and you're buying everything from Ferrari, why not use them all from EntraPass? Take advantage of the IO Smart encrypted communication, right? Why not take advantage of you being able to modify your reader LEDs and configuration and turn on features, mobile credentials, and a bunch of things with the IO Smart RS-45 using COM2. The IO modules are also available if you want to have extra inputs and outputs. And it also has an SPI if ever you want to plug in our legacy controllers, legacy expansion modules, I mean, directly on the KT-4. You could plug them in and do your elevator control, or you use the IO module for more easy to work with elevator equipment. So again, we're not telling you rip and replace everything. It uses the same equipment as the KT-400 and the KT-1, the KT-2 for your elevators, your expansions. And guess what? The KT-4 supports OSDP if you have a third-party readers that are not the super best readers like ours, the IO Smart, because IO Smart is the best, obviously, right? If you have other readers out there, we don't discriminate. We let you use Weekend, and you can also use Secure OSDP with other readers on the RS-45 COM2. So if you have HID senior readers or other readers out there, you can definitely use them. You get 4 readers, 4 doors, so 4 readers if you want to use maximum. with OSDP, but it gives you the ability of using readers encrypted. Obviously, you cannot use both at the same time. You cannot share OSDP with the IO Smart protocol on the same controller. I don't see why anybody would have IO Smart readers and HID OSDP readers at the same time. Kind of a weird thing. But don't forget that the IO Smart reader does support OSDP. So if you want to use another access control, which you shouldn't, but if you do and if you must, the IO Smart reader does support OSDP also. So you're all blended in. You can't go wrong with readers and OSDP and the Kantech RS-45, right? But Kantech's obviously first. Integrations. We support the DAC Power Series Neo and the DAC Power Series Pro integration with the KT-4. So if you have any of those good old DSCs, that we have a very nice integration. It's a digital integration over IP or RS-232 directly on the KT-4 RS-232 jack or IP. We can hook up a DAC Neo or Power Series Pro over IP for integrations to arm and disarm, get our events, and view our zone statuses and so on through one mobile app, through one interface for our day-to-day operations. Very practical, gives the customer a unified experience, not just having two apps. Hey, let me arm, let me disarm. We reduce our false alarms by tying them both together, because when I swipe my card, if I'm not allowed disarming, well, guess what? The door doesn't unlock. So I reduce my false alarms by a lot. How many times does somebody put the key in the door, open the door, and realize that the manager's not there because they were busy or so? Therefore, now if you swipe the card and you can't disarm, you can't get in. And we also have our our Perio line. If you have ASA Abloy Perio locks, you can attach them to the KT-4 and add 8 more doors to your controller. This is actually very, very practical. If you guys weren't aware, we don't sacrifice wired doors for wireless doors. We add wireless doors. We add 8 doors to our KT-4 using our Perio line of wireless readers and locks. So the great thing is now effectively the KT-4 is now a 4-door wired controller and 8 wireless controller using the Aperio line. Now, all your existing customers can use Aperio without having to buy new controllers. You buy the little hub, you buy the lock, off you go. Now you have Aperio integration in the Kantech platform. And what I really like about this is that it's not software driven. It's not database. It's not computer deciding. Who decides when the door unlocks? Can anybody guess? Give me a second. The controller decides who unlocks the door. What does that mean? Everything is managed by the KT-4 in its memory, and the KT-4 obviously communicates to EntraPass for the transactions and so on, but the KT-4 decides. So it's another door that is hardware dependent, hardware based, like the controller, right? So right now the integration is over RS-232. You plug in your hub on the RS-232 module, and then you can have your Aperio module available. If you want to take advantage of all these Aperio and DAC, it is available for the KT-4. You need to have 872, the latest software available from our platform. If you have the older versions, while the KT, it is compatible, you have to upgrade to take advantage of these. It was available in the new ones, but this is really hardware dependent because we made it slightly better. So like I said, it is backwards compatible, but if you want to leverage all the new cool stuff, you need to go with the newest version, right? So, any questions? I see some questions in there. I think I answered some of them.
Yeah, you know, I've got one that's kind of odd because I hadn't even thought about the KT-100 in over 10 years. I don't think, is it even supported anymore? I don't know if it is in latest software.
Actually, that's an actually very good question, Jason. One of the things, we've been around since 1986. If you guys didn't know this, 1986. Some of you guys were not born. some other people were babies or in high school or something, you know. Nevertheless, we have discontinued some controllers, to be honest. We've discontinued our KT300 and our KT200. I think it was done like 3 years ago. So it lasted about 30 years, the KT200, right? We had discontinued our KT100. It was a one-door controller launched in 1996. That one was discontinued in 2015 when the KT1 came out. Now, one of the good things so far is that we do not end support for our legacy hardware. Meaning what? Is the KT1, the KT100, sorry, the KT200 and 300, all the 100 series are still available in EntraPass. There's no new development. You can still use them in EntraPass. You're going to get the features you've had for many, many years. But we're not going to tell you, oh, you upgraded, go replace a bunch of hardware controllers because suddenly they don't work, right? So you obviously get the features that are available back then because it does run on a smaller processor and smaller RAM. But we're not going to tell you rip and replace everything because we want you to upgrade. So that's a very long answer to a nice question. So the answer is yes, we can support the KT100 still in EntraPass. Now, if you want action scheduler like I was talking about before, and you want your extended features, you will have to change to a KT1 at a minimum for a 1-to-1 panel, or you can go to a KT2 or KT4. I gotta reprogram the door. There's a slide for that also. Now, one thing I just want to make sure it's fair, everybody's aware, for our senior people that are here for many, many years, senior meaning not old, but many years with us, is that we do not support the KT Power Series, the Power Series, the Legacy Power Series that came out in, I think, 1991 or something, and the Maxis panel that came before I was born, right? So those panels are as is for the KT400 or the KT2 or the KT1. It doesn't support the KT4, right? So David, you're gonna have to change your Maxis panels that you developed many years ago into Power Series Pro or Power Series Neo. Really, they lasted 40 years. You can't complain there. It's a good hardware to have. All right. Existing, so again, just remember that we say that the KT4 is not a 4-door controller only. It can do up to 8 readers when you use IO Smart and encrypted RS-485, and you exclusively use IO Smart cards or IOProx cards with cards and readers. So as long as you use the IO Smart line of cards and readers, you can actually have entry and exit for your anti-pass back. So you can do 4 doors, entry and exit, 2 readers in and out per door for a total of 4 doors, 8 readers. So if you're doing like a small parking lot that has 4 doors, and you can do 8 readers, you can do entry and exit in one platform, one plug and play, one controller, everything managed within that controller. All right, very exciting that it gives you extra doors if you want. Now, the good thing about all this, because it is an RS-485 controller for our exit readers, because you're going over RS-485, you don't need to pull a new cable. You just piggyback off the IO Smart entrance reader in RS-485, and these are addressable via serial number. So now you have an exit reader with no extra cable done. Makes our life a lot easier to plug and play these extra readers off the iOS, the KT4. Now you're like, Tom, I have a bunch of controllers. I have the KT100. I have the KT300. What do I do? Well, if you have a KT400 and the same answer, you can effortlessly migrate to a KT4. When I say effortlessly, you can swap out a KT400 for a KT4. It's the same cabinet. It's the same physical layout, the same physical screw terminals to mount it on the cabinet. It's the same dimensions as the KT400. The only thing that changes is the reader terminals. They are slightly small, just the readers. Your inputs, your relays, your locks, your power, your battery, everything stays the same. Your SPI modules stay the same. We want to make it so simple for you to migrate from a KT400 to a KT4 to take advantage of all the new features and all the powerful new stuff like the gigabyte IP, like your PoE if ever needed, and then going forward with the Wi-Fi and so on. That we didn't want you to have to re-drill cabinets, same cabinet, same everything. In EntraPass, it's actually the easiest migration you'll ever do. There's a drop down that allows you to change from a KT400 into a KT4 in a drop down. There's no reprogramming, there's no questions. You can swap back and forth between a KT4 and a 400 very easily without having to do anything. It's kind of a drop down on your device's controllers to make it a KT4. In the unlikely event that you make a mistake and you put it as a 400 purely, guess what? It will work. It'll have the KT400 features, but it will work, right? If you want the KT4 features, you just choose KT4. It will give you the Wi-Fi options. It will give you all the extra stuff that are available for the platform. Now, what happens if back to my KT100 that I sold many years ago in 2000 and something or 1990 something? Well, guess what? In the software, you can migrate any controller to any other controller using a larger door count. So a KT1 can go to a KT100 can go to a KT1 or a KT2 or even KT400. So you can easily migrate from one controller to another without having to reprogram any of your doors, without having to touch any access levels or schedules. We don't even reprogram the controllers. We just change the database inside, making it, for example, a KT4. So all your APIs, all your connections to your third-party platforms, all your access levels, your reports, everything is completely transparent because it's still the same door. We didn't delete it and reprogram it. We didn't do anything. It's the same database, same door, but now running a faster, better engine, right? Very practical for that if you want to use the KT4. If you want to make it a KT4, you have to use 870 and higher to make it look and feel like a KT4. It's actually 871 or 872, makes it look and has a drop down for the KT4. To swap to another controller from a 1 to a 4 or anything like that, it's available for a few versions now. All right. Anything I missed, Jason, so far? A lot of questions. You've been typing a lot.
Yeah, man, I am typing a lot. I am trying to keep up with both the Q&A and the chat going on at the same time.
And
but
the support, I think it's a great question.
Let's see. Let's get how many KT4 controllers can be integrated into DSC Neo panel via 232?
DSC supports something called sessions, and it varies per version per product. So you have to check with DSC how many sessions are available. Some of them support 2, some of them support 4. So you can have 4, for example, KT controllers per DSC panel. Some you can have 2, so depending on DSC. Now, only one RS-232 can be used, but the other 3, for example, can be IP. So in essence, you can have one RS-232 and the other 3 IP. Functionality, they're the same, just that we give you the convenience of using IP for a total of 16 doors based on the module, right? Now, another thing that I saw is the KT400. What's happened to the KT400? If the KT4 is better, faster, backwards compatible, right? Key thing, backwards compatible. We'll not let anybody hanging. The KT4, we're shutting down the factory for the KT4 on December 31st. It's getting its retirement party, and it's gonna enjoy its pina coladas and whatever it wants afterwards. But we have some stock available for while supplies last, but nothing is blocking you from getting the KT4. It is backwards compatible, and it is the future next generation, the next 10, 15-year hardware that's going to take over, and all the cool new features, whatever we come up with, are going to start being built on the KT400, KT4 as we see. We might do it on the 400 too, depending on the features. But all new features really, the next 10 years is on the KT-4. So if you buy the KT-4 now, you're giving yourself the next 10, 12, whatever lifetime it lasted. Don't forget the KT-4 was launched in like 2004. So it's
When will it be
many
available?
years. The KT-4 is available now. You can start placing your orders, and we're backfilling any orders that are available that are in the backlog or any available.
Gotcha.
So the next day or two, you can start doing them.
Okay, so I'll have to revise that. My other question, if you don't mind taking it one step back, is with the how many virtual zones can you have once you integrate with the DSC Neo?
Virtual zones and integration is different. Virtual zones is each DSC supports 32 virtual zones, so that's a maximum of 32. I would,
It's 32. I got you.
yeah, same. It's always been the same. It's on them, but it doesn't matter how many controllers you have. That's the virtual zones. How many
Right.
sessions you can have varies by product and version. But let's say best case it's 4, worst case it's 2, which is 2 controllers. All right.
Yeah.
So, what about power? The KT-4 has a lot of power. We talked about 16 volts AC through our award-winning transformer. What about the DC voltage? The reason why we did the DC voltage wasn't because we didn't have an award-winning transformer, but also we have an integration with life safety powers where you can attach in a cabinet, a multi-door cabinet controller, you can attach a KT-4 inside the cabinet with your transformer, your power supplies, and your relay modules and everything attached into one cabinet. So we have and had the multi-door kits we've been selling with the KT-300s, but again, the user experience said, you know what, we're not going to penalize you by upgrading you with less stuff. Now we have a multi-door cabinet with life safety powers that allows you to put multiple controllers in the same cabinet. In this example, it is a 2 controller cabinet where you can attach 2 KT-4s. As you guys can see, we left one empty because it's pre-terminated, pre-mountable controller. You attach the controller over the little standoffs that come with it, and you're done. You don't have to worry about drilling holes, placing where they go. It's all available there. Also, it gives you isolation and power protection for all your locks and your grounding, that you guys all ground your controllers and the readers and all that stuff, right? So it protects you because now the lock outputs that are controller are triggering the module, and then the module triggers the output directly. All right? That's the advantages of the power supplies. All the power is managed through the power supply. It does give you supervision, space saving. It's very, very space saving because now you have your power supply and in this example, your 2 controllers. We can go up to 4 controllers if we ever wanted to. So that's a lot of controllers. That's 16 doors in one cabinet. Obviously, the cabinet's a bit bigger, right? And it also has an optional network supervision module so you can monitor your power supply remotely. So now the next time you gotta go check if the batteries are good, you don't have to send a tech on site anymore. You can go and check if the batteries are good remotely through the module. If everything is working correctly, and test your locks, test your fuses or whatever power supplies need to be verified, the consumption and so on through the browser. Now, we want to make it very simple.
Another thing with that, Tom, adding on to that, it also counts the cycle power and monitors the locks to see if the lock's degrading over time. So that's pretty important to help you do some additional troubleshooting steps before even having to roll a truck.
Very good, very good. And we want to keep your life a lot simpler. We have 3 modules of cabinets for power, and they can auto switch between 12 volts or 24 volts. In the field is a switch. You can do both actually at the same time. You can say half the board is 12 volts, half the board is 24 volts if you want, for your locks, your readers, and so on. So if you have 24 volt locks, DC powered, and you have your 12 volt readers, don't worry, that power supply can do both at the same time for you. So it makes your life a lot easier for your installation. And everything is available through pre-terminated setups. As you can see here, we have a nice conduit installation where all the cables are terminated, plugged in properly, hidden, clean, and the cables pop out where you just wire them. So you don't have to go terminate the cables and pull cables and make a big spaghetti ball. So you could take nice, clean installations, and then when you're done, put them on Facebook and say, look at my clean install, and we give you a thumbs up. You can do all that with a conduit installation, or you could use T-wrap type of installations, like tie wrap, or you could get it loose and you do your own installs if you really want. But the benefit, it's a lot easier for a technician in a desk to pull all the cables, have them color coded and terminated before shipping it out for you guys. Jason, any comments on this? I know you love these a lot.
No, I'm just glad we have something. Those old multi-door enclosures we had, I could barely fit my hands into them. So this one you can actually get in there and do some work.
Correct. It is available for the KT-4, KT2, and the KT1 PCB. If you want the small enclosure, you can fit one controller, or if you want the bigger controllers, you can fit two KT4s or KT400s. You're like, what about the KT400s? KT400s definitely do fit, but they are only AC powered. This is one of the benefits of the KT4. It is DC powered, and this module gives you DC output for the controller itself. I'm really excited about the KT4. It is the next step in our evolution of hardware that we've kept active for many years. And we don't tell you to swap them out every 2 years. When we build this, we build them for the long run. So have a look at it, start ordering it. The kits are available. Kits are available for expansion kits or just modules if you want with our platforms. You can buy just a controller for replacement, or just you don't want readers, or you get them with readers as you guys wish. All right. Before we go to the next topic, any questions on the KT4? I think we got most of them. You were feverishly typing.
Yeah, I'm typing one to answer Galen, but I'm kind of, it says KT4 unit lock outputs still 12 volts DC unless powered by VIN. Well, I'm not sure what VIN.
Oh, yes, that's a great question. I kind of skimmed over it. That's a great question, Guyan. So the KT4 is powered through the standard 12 volt lock output of the KT400. So 12 volts, 500 milliamps, and a bit more depending on the PoE you use for the lock outputs. But if you want, the VIN is voltage in. If you've noticed on the KT4 and the 400, you have a voltage in at the end of the lock output, which allows you to plug in directly a 24 volt power supply and then power the locks from that external power supply. And that can go up to 4 amps. You can have 1 amp per lock output for a total of 4 amps for your KT4 lock output. And the benefit of all this is that it's supervised by the controller. So in case you're using a third-party, if you're using a third-party power supply with locks or mag locks or whatever, you can use them and have them supervised by the controller. Very practical. Now remember, if you're using your life safety, you don't even need all that because the power supply of the life safety will power the locks for you. But you have both choices with the voltage in and definitely available. Well, that was a tough one. It's good.
And I was just thrown off by VIN. I mean, I already knew to use the relay.
No problem. Yeah, because it's a big V usually, so it throws everybody off. People think it's a VIN like a car. So you're not the only one. Everybody does that. So EntraPass Go Pass. We've been working hard under the hood. A little surprised we didn't announce it to anyone on the slides. So you're the first customers that are actually aware of this. You guys should be excited. EntraPass Go Pass is being revamped completely using standard and let me slide 1 second. EntraPass Go Pass is being revamped to the latest Android and Apple APIs. So all the new modern commands leveraging the new iOSs and Android, which gives us better Bluetooth, better battery consumption, more control over the app, huge performance increases, and optimization on the battery drain. People said the battery gets used up a bit. So much better read range, faster on the iPhone. On the Android, the people loved it, but now we made it better. On the iPhone, the Bluetooth works significantly faster and better, and we made it a better user experience. We've been running for betas for about a month or two with our customers that did tell us feedback from the first one, and they've had significant changes. The app is the same. It looks different. It's more white than the darker toned, but it actually has all the white colors. It's more modern looking. And we also added something called logs in it. So if there is a problem, you press a button, it sends us a log with your permission, and we see what happens to the app. It only sends us the app stuff. It doesn't, and Bluetooth, it doesn't send us your personal stuff or your passwords. Don't worry. You can see the log and you can read them in English. It's all numbers and those random things. So we can play with it more if ever needed. But it has a lot better performance and it works pretty quickly on an Android and an iPhone over Bluetooth. If you guys don't know what GoPass is, it's our mobile credentials that are available for EntraPass and also hattrix. In hattrix, we have something called Smart Tap, where you just tap the phone on the reader about 3-4 inches. And on EntraPass, you just open the phone and press a button, which sends the door command to the iOS smart reader when it's communicating over RS-45 within the EntraPass platform. So mobile credentials, you buy them in EntraPass, you use them, it emails you, and you start using them all over Bluetooth. If you want to know a lot more about GoPass or the KT-400, please feel free to reach out to your regional rep, or we can do demos on the GoPass.
Hey, one thing to add to that, Tom, just because you brought it up, that I think it's very important. We have run beta test on the new mobile app, right? We've done beta test on the KT-4. Next up will be Salto. We're already working on a beta right now. Anybody wants to be involved with the beta testing, please reach out and let us know. We want to make sure we vet these products properly to make sure they're working before we put them out in the field. We want to stop any kind of or limit any kind of errors or anything out in the field once the product's launched.
So yeah, we want your feedback, guys. We want to hear it from you. Obviously, you don't want to be in beta; it's optional. If you want to be part of betas, we test them internally. We make sure it works. But obviously, like everything in life, mistakes can happen. If you want to be an early adopter, learn early, faster, be the first guy that has this, and put it on YouTube or Facebook, you're more than welcome. Do it, and then we can do betas with you, and you learn it first. Also, I didn't put a slide for this. Same thing, we did it as a little surprise for everyone. EntraPass Go is being released on specifically for Apple and Android, but mostly for Android. The newest version of EntraPass Go does support the latest, greatest versions of Android. There were some Android devices that were limited in support. We've actually changed it and made it available, and it was released this morning at 10 a.m. So all your phones should start upgrading slowly throughout the platform. Android is a bit slower to release it, so give it a day or two, and then it's going to roll out across the world as it propagates across Apple and Android. If you have no more questions, guys, we wish you from the Kantech sales team a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy other holidays, and if you don't celebrate any of them, happy Festivus to all you guys from the Kantech sales team.
Except for the rest of Festivus for the rest of us.
Hey, exactly. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, we'll take them. I know we're flush on time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll answer them. I know Jason did most of them, so an applause for that.
Thank you, yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And like Tom said, Merry Christmas to all, and enjoy the holidays, but still, let's get out and start selling this KT-4.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody. We'll still be answering questions even when we hang up, so they'll still be available in the chat.